personalities.
Well, that sounds full house.
Well, I'm Catherine Walton, and I have 3 children at all different ages, and they're very different in personality, and I've been married for 15 years.
Wow, you must know about this topic.
I'm Barbara Manspeaker. I have 2 adult children, 5 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. And we've been married 56 years, and I'm still learning about child raising, even though I've worked with children's ministries for more years than I'm going to admit to.
You should be an expert of this topic then.
I don't know that anyone ever becomes an expert.
I think that's more true.
We say that communication is the key to understanding your children. It's so easy for us to say, but it's so hard to practice. Why is that?
Because we don't always remember that communication is a two-way street. You speak, but you listen. When you are speaking to your child, you need to, as far as possible, get on their eye level and look them in the eye and listen. When they're speaking to you, you need to stop what you're doing and do the same thing.
It's important you said that, because my children, I'm often a multitasker, and they'll often say to you, "Are you listening? Are you listening?" And it's because I haven't stopped what I'm doing. So I'm learning from my children.
I know I feel ashamed when my son asks me, "Look at me, Daddy."
At least they're bold enough to tell us, "We need you to pay attention."
Right.
We all go through that. My boy does the same thing. Mom, you're not looking at me. Are you hearing me? Oh, yes, you keep talking. You know?
But you know, it's also true that I guess we expect for them to stop what they're doing and look at us and listen to us. So I can see the point.
So the communication is not just listening, but it's a whole experience.
It's a whole experience, and even to the extent that we're not formulating answers even before we hear the questions.
Oh, no, that's, I'm not so sure. Every time someone asks me a question, that's what I go, just go through my mind.
You're immediately trying to think of what you should answer or how you should answer instead of really listening. We also listen with more than just ears of what they're saying. We need to watch their body language. We need to listen for their tone. And we need to feel their feelings.
I see.
For example, if my child is talking to me and I'm standing there like this, I'm sending a very negative message to that child. Hurry up, get it over with. This is enough. I got things to do. However, if I'm relaxed and looking and being with the child, they're going to develop a relationship with me where they can feel good at confiding.
Sounds like a lot of commitment there.
Well, I have a hard time with that, actually, because when my children are talking to me, it's usually when I'm in the midst of something, or even when I come home and I'm tired and I really can't, I can look at them, and that's probably the worst time, because I'm actually thinking of something totally different. And if they ask me a question, quizzing me on what they said, I really can't remember. So I have a hard time with that. How do you find the right time or get your children to understand that maybe they should wait to talk to you?
It's not wrong to say to the child how you feel and what the circumstances are. You know, Johnny, I really want to talk to you about this. It's important to me to hear what you have to say. But right now, I have had a bad day. I have to get supper. I'm tired. Can we postpone this, maybe just before you go to bed? And then prepare yourself to follow through and take that time.
But what if my personality is different? Because even if I take the time to communicate, I am a type of person, I need a certain space, a certain distance to talk. And one of my children, their personality is to be right in my personal space. And so even then, I find it hard to communicate because they're so close in my zone. I just have a hard time with
that. You can tell them that. This is how Mommy is, and I know that that bothers you, but I can hear you better if, and then put them in the distance that is comfortable for you.
But it doesn't always work that well, because then they also think that maybe I'm putting her off. She treats it as if I'm rejecting her if I say, I need you to stand here and tell me what you're saying.
If in between time you fill their love cup by being sure that they feel loved and accepted, I think it'd be less likely to have that happen. Of course, you know, none of us have all the answers.
Right.
Now, what is the greatest challenge to communicate with the temperament and the personality with our children?
I would suggest that we leave that to answer to a little bit later in our program, and instead I want to suggest to you that you need to accept your child's feelings. This is another area parents frequently err. Well, you shouldn't feel that way. Well, you know better than to feel that way. And their feelings, they own them. Just as you own your feelings, and it may be completely different from how you feel or believe, but you have to accept that that is exactly how they feel and work from there, rather than telling them you should not.
Well, I did hear that a lot growing up. My mom would often use the word validate feelings. But it doesn't really make a sense to me every time, because sometimes their feelings are based on a misunderstanding. And a lot of times I'm a little annoyed when they have an attitude about something because they weren't listening. So is it that we should maybe help them reevaluate the situation before they keep those same feelings, or should I just say, okay, you're angry and I accept that? I don't agree with that.
Now, I think that you can ask questions to clarify their anger. I can see you feel very strongly about this. Tell me why. How does it make you feel?
Okay.
What has caused these? What do you think has caused these feelings?
I know that my daughter is very concrete and sequential left brain.
yes.
So she is like, I think, therefore I am. But my son is totally, other side, right brain, and abstract and random. So he is like, I feel, therefore I know. So I have like two different personalities that I have to deal with and communicate differently. And I think I need to know more about like differences in temperance and, perhaps learning styles and so forth. I think we should talk about that.
I think that's a very good idea, because the more we understand one another and understand ourselves and our children, the more likely we are going to have positive communication.
Okay. Well, thank you. When we come back, let's talk about those temperance and different learning styles. Stay tuned.
We'll put our children first, 'cause Jesus loves them too.
Before marriage, men seem to be intentional about spending quantity and quality time with their girlfriends. They go out, they do all kinds of things, but once they get married, things seem to change. What do you think needs to happen, Elaine? How do we negotiate time together?
I think it's very important for men to understand that after they're married, it's still